All right. Well, should we just jump in as people
Well,
are
yeah, hey,
hopping?
Curtis, we'll let some folks kind of get set up and jump on here in just a second. And we'll start maybe in about a minute or two. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming today. I'll do a little introduction of Chris here right when we start, uh, but just as a filler for the next minute as people are jumping on, I'm real excited that we have you all here today to participate in this, just as a true testimony. you know well, this is kind of getting into my intro a little bit, but we're excited to share with you the things today uh, around weight loss, and not only just losing the weight, just kind of avoiding the yo-yo of losing weight and then put it back on, losing weight, put it back on. And yeah, it's just, I'm a true testimony of the results of what I've learned from Chris, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So, but yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. I'm Craig Eberle. I'm an agent in the Southern Indiana real estate office. Started out at Keller Williams as a team leader about 10 years ago at that office, and then started exploring opportunities with ownership, and then was able to step into the OP role of the Southern Indiana office. And then just last year around March, Dana and I worked together, and then Dana stepped in as the OP of our office. And I'm now just serving on my team, working with my real estate team, and also helping out in the office as an investor, and just things like that. So, and that ties a little bit into this class. I want to introduce Chris Kent right now, a weight loss coach, a coach of mine, a mentor of mine, just so many things over the past. I guess we decided it was around 2017. I met Chris, and Chris, I was at Seeds and Greens, which is this health food store in New Albany, Indiana. And there was a little flyer on the table. It said, come to a little class around healthy eating and weight loss. And at that time, I weighed 283 pounds approximately. I was fluxing between 283 to 275, and it was always a challenge at that point, in really around 2015, 2016. Just a lot of different things were going on in my personal life, from divorce through some addiction stuff within my family, stepping into the OP role, running my real estate team, doing all that. So as Chris will probably talk about, stress is a key factor in weight gain. And so was figuring all that out. Met Chris, went to his class. It was great. And then I, then stopped after the class, talked to him, and I was just like, okay, hey, this is something I haven't done before. Get an actual coach to coach me through this and to really understand what I needed to do. And then that's when I partnered up with Chris. We coached together for about 6 months. Had some results. Really, the biggest at that first time was around mindset and really understanding the body and food and nutrition and mindset. And it put me in the place to where, with everything I had going on, I had some success, but not the success I had the second go around. And then was in a better spot, a better place. And probably the biggest thing is I was ready to make the decision to really make some changes, because I was going down the path of health wise that was not good. My numbers were not good. And so reached out to Chris again. I said, hey, Chris, I think I'm ready. I want to do this again. It was great last time, but I was missing the piece of making the decision to really do it. And so then Chris coached me for, I believe it was 3 to 4 months. And I took that and everything that I learned there, around with everything else. It's not just do these things. It's also nutrition, exercise. But what I learned from Chris, and what probably the biggest factor that led to my success, and Chris is going to show you some before and after pictures, which led to my success, was really getting my mindset right. And just like in real estate, and we learned this in Bold, if you've taken Bold before, it's all, a lot of it, the majority of our things and the things that we want to do in our lives comes down to mindset. And this is one that really correlated very well for me to how we build our real estate businesses and the things that we wanted to do to accomplish in our lives, it's really very similar to all the things that we learn about at Keller Williams. And Chris kind of brought in the side of the things that dealt with health and nutrition and exercise, to the point to where I weighed 282 or 283 pounds at the height of my weight, and felt horrible. And my goal was to get to 199, and it took me 11 months. And I was very strict on food and diet and exercise and everything that Chris was teaching me. And I made it to my goal of 199 pounds from 283 pounds. And it changed my life. I'm just, and I've creeped up a little bit. Now I'm back doing the things that I learned from Chris. So without further ado, I want to kind of turn it over to Chris to let him kind of share some things, and let him take over. And I may throw in some things from time to time, but really we're here for Chris, not me.
Absolutely. Well, Craig, thank you so much for putting all this together and inviting me today. And I'm really honored to speak with everybody. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate what you were saying about the mindset piece. And I think, like, for me, just thinking back on your experience, that second go around when things really started to fall in place, I think for me, it was, you had such a big why, and you were so connected with that why, and every single thing that you did was filtered through that. And one of the most amazing things that I found is, like, we were working on health and nutrition, but these things are applicable across the board. And, I think the header of this is Protect Your Shell, which is a Keller Williams initiative. And so, with that, it's like we all have this physical body that we are living in, that we are using to carry out our work in the world. And if our physical frame is not feeling good, if we're feeling low energy, if we're sick, if we're, just not able to do the things that we need to do in business is not going to run very well. So all the things I'm going to teach you today are definitely applicable in every facet of your life. So with that said, I just wanted to kind of talk about myself and give you an overview of what we're going to be doing today. So like Craig said, my name is Christopher Kent. I've been doing weight loss and health coaching for about 10 years up to this point. And over the course of that time, I've coached people in one-on-one settings, group coaching settings, and several free online challenges. And to this point, I've worked with several hundreds of people on their health and weight loss journey. So for today, what we're going to do, I'm going to share about my story. I'm going to share some successes just to show you what's possible, what other people have gone through in their experience. And then the meat of today, I'm going to be sharing about the 3 pillars of lasting weight loss. So these are 3 things. If you master these 3 things, if you put these things together, you will have success for a lifetime, which I think this is what we're all about, right? So if somebody says, I want to lose weight, they're really not saying, I want to lose it for a month or 2 months or a year. What they're really saying is, I want to lose it and keep it off forever. I want to lose it and not find it again. So these are the 3 things that I found in my own journey, and with the hundreds of people that I've helped over the years really have that.
Yeah, and that's Chris. That's kind of one of the main things I learned from you is that the things that I learned throughout the process and throughout the journey and the ups and the downs was, it's a lifestyle. It's not a lifestyle, because if you just do it for a period of time to hit that goal, then the weight will come back.
Right. Exactly. So a lot of people talk about dieting. I don't believe in dieting, because dieting has a built-in time limit to it. I'm going to go on a diet for a week. Well, okay, cool. But then after that week, what do? If you haven't built the foundation that is a lifestyle around health, then that's where you're going to see the ups and downs. That's where you're going to see the weight loss roller coaster. So I definitely was on the weight loss roller coaster for years. And that is one of the most frustrating things to be on. For me, that led to a point of giving up like 4 or 5 times, and just really believing that I can't do this. I can't put this all together. But it was when I started to change my mindset around that is when I started to really have the results. So I'm going to be going through the 3 pillars of lasting weight loss today. I'm going to be giving you some actionable steps within each pillar. So I recommend that if you have something to write on, like a pen and paper, to have that ready, or if you have, a laptop you can take some notes on, that would be really helpful. Um, Towards the end, I will give you an invitation to my next Lose 5 Pounds challenge. It's a free challenge. We do it completely online, and I'll talk briefly about that towards the end. And then we'll do a little Q&A if you guys have any questions. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So, well, let me just share a little bit about my story. So, I struggled with my weight for most of my adult life. And, like I said, I was on the weight loss roller coaster where I would lose weight, I would gain it back, I would lose weight, I would gain everything back and then some. And it would continue like this for years and years. And, during this time when I was going through this weight loss roller coaster, I had a lot of mental and emotional stress. I was a first year school teacher, and I don't know if any of you know any school teachers or have been a school teacher, but those first couple of years are really stressful. And so that's what I was going through. And not only that, I had a close family member who had passed away. I had a really rocky relationship that I was in. And my way to deal with that was to comfort eat. So I would get home at the end of a long day and I was drained physically, I was drained emotionally. All I wanted to do was sit on the couch and watch TV and eat junk food. That's all I wanted to do. And it gave me that kind of that short-term feeling of feeling good. But overall, my health wasn't the best. I was putting on weight. I was at the heaviest weight of my life at this point. This is my first year of school teaching. And I could just feel my energy levels going down every single week. So fast forward, I went to grad school in 2010 at U of L, and nothing had changed. In fact, I had more stress, more mental stress, more emotional stress. My ways of dealing with it stayed the same, except this time I was drinking, I was smoking, I was doing everything that I could to try to get that quick feel good hit. And what this did over time, my weight continued to blossom. And everything sort of came to a head at one point, and it was literally overnight. I went from being able to push my body as hard as I could to something snapped, and I had a complete neurological breakdown. And it was literally overnight. So I went from being able to push my body as hard as I could to I could barely get out of bed. I could barely stand up. I could barely keep my balance. In fact, I started going to doctors to try to figure out what was wrong with me. One of the doctors gave me a field sobriety test.
Okay, did you understand my James? I'm trying to find.
Okay, cool. I could not pass a field sobriety test sober. That's how bad my neurological system was. So I was in and out of doctors for about 3 years, just trying to figure out how could I repair my body. Meanwhile, I was about 65 pounds overweight, which wasn't helping things. And not one of the doctors that I went to over those 3 years said, hey, you might want to change your lifestyle. You might want to upgrade your nutrition. You might want to exercise some more. Not one of them said that. So during this 3-year period, I was mostly bedridden. Like I couldn't do much. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't work. Basically, my life consisted of me getting out of bed and going to the bathroom or just down the street to get groceries. Like that was all I could do. And I started doing the math and I started to say, if my health has deteriorated this much in 3 years, if it continues like this for another 3 years, I don't think I'm going to be alive. So I knew something had to change. And that's when I decided, what if I did an experiment on myself? I could see results in other people. I could see sort of like out there in society that other people had lost weight, that other people had healed their body. And so I knew an answer was out there. So I decided my best route was to try to upgrade my nutrition and try to get some more exercise. Now, the way I started doing that was by drinking green smoothies and green juices. But I had a big problem. So the problem was that since the time I was born, basically, I had a severe gag reflex to vegetables. Not just I didn't like them, but like I would gag every time a vegetable would enter my mouth. So the way I got around that was I would put just a little bit of kale or a little bit of spinach into my smoothies, just enough so that it was there, but I couldn't taste it. And what that did for me was incredible. Like, when I say this, I think a lot of people don't believe it, but it was a real experience for me, that within the first couple of minutes of having that first green smoothie or green juice, the nutritional content that I had been missing for all of those years and the oxygen level in those drinks started to course through my blood. And I came alive. I could feel my energy levels shoot through the roof in a way that I had never felt before. So I knew right then that I was onto something. So that's when I just decided, hey, I'm going to go full on into this. And I decided at that point, I'm not going to go back into teaching anymore because teaching was super stressful. And I got a job at a juice bar. So I sold juices and smoothies for a couple of years. And as people were coming into the store, I was educating them on health. And one by one, people started to say, hey, can you mentor me? Can you coach me? And that's where I started with my coaching practice. And this was about 10 years ago at this point. And this is about a couple of hundred people ago that I've started to help. So that's where things started for me. And let me just give you sort of an idea of the changes that happened in my life. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I can pull this up here. I want to show you my before and after pictures. Can you all see that?
Yep.
You can see that. Okay. So on the left here, this is me at my lowest point health-wise. It was at my heaviest weight. And you can tell, like, I'm bloated, I'm inflamed, my energy levels were way down. This is the point where I had to make a decision that I was going to change my lifestyle. And you can tell that I'm holding in my hand a Bud Light Lime. So that's an indicator of what I was doing to myself that was causing the problem. And then on the right, this is just a couple of short months later. You can tell I had lost the weight. I had lost about 65 pounds at that point. I looked like a completely different person. My energy levels were up. My nervous system had healed. I was feeling really amazing in my body. So this is just an example of where I started. And the things that I teach, I just want to say this, they are applicable to everybody. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter male, female. None of that matters. What matters is, can you take the things that I discovered that work for me and apply them in your own life? And if you can do that, then you'll start to see lasting results. So I want to show you a couple of other people that I've worked with. I think one of them you'll know. There on the left, we have our very own Craig Eberle. And Craig, how much weight did you lose from before and after?
When I really started at my peak, right when I kind of started with you, was 282, 283. And then my goal was to get to 199. And yeah, and that took me about 11 months. And it was a lot, but and it was just kind of, I mean, the key things for me that helped me was just getting the mindset right. And I think ultimately, for me, the biggest thing that led to my success was, and I teach this in my class on 6.5 steps to building a successful real estate business, is there's that point where you just got to make the decision you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't make the decision, like a true decision, I've said I'm going to do it before and I've had luck before, but I mean, I made the decision, and Chris, you remember the difference of where my mindset was. And, it started off where, okay, I'm going to start off doing a mile a day on the treadmill, and I'm not going to eat anything unhealthy. And there's different ways to do that. I went to the extreme, as in I would not let myself eat anything unhealthy. And that's hard. But my why around my health and being a single dad and having 2 daughters and how I was feeling and things, there was just so many things that were important. And it was just making the decision, but for me, it was the nutrition was number one. Then it was the physical activity. And I started doing the treadmill 1 mile 3 days a week. Then I bumped it up to 2 miles 3 days a week, and kept doing that. I did that for about a month, 2 months. And then I bumped it up to 3 miles 3 days a week. And then I was like, okay. And I started seeing results with the exercise and then the nutrition. And then I bumped it up, and where I stopped was I started doing 4 miles, and I was doing 3 days a week. Then I bumped it to 4 days a week. And then it just got to be like, I'd have a TV in front of me and I'd watch shows. I'd watch, different things on TV, listen to Gary Keller Williams stuff, different things like that. So I was knocking out 2 things at once. Sometimes I was reading motivational books while I was exercising. So then I was being fed mentally as well. So that was exciting. And the other thing that I came up with that was a big deal that helped lead to my success was, it's just a crazy idea, but I bought 85 pounds of 4-pound bags of sugar, and I put them on the right side of my sink. And every time I lost 4 pounds, I moved a 4-pound bag to the left side of the sink. And seeing that happen, and 4 pounds was just enough to where if I was down 2 pounds, I was like, man, if I don't eat healthy today, I'm not going to be moving my bag anytime soon. But if I stick with today and next week and I exercise, I make sure I do that, I'm losing about 1.5 pounds a week. And then I started moving bags, and all of a sudden I went from 0 bags to then I had 3 bags, then I had 4 bags. And I remember the day that out of the 20 bags, it was 20 bags. Out of the 20 bags, I had half the bags gone. I was halfway to my goal. So that visual, as corny as it sounds, that visual was a huge deal for me. And then just, we started off with the coaching, and then there was a point where, okay, 3 months of coaching, okay, I got what I needed. And then I continued on my own, but I checked in with Chris from time to time, or I'd send him a picture of the sugar or stuff. And that was some key things that were helpful in that weight loss.
And I'll never forget, Craig, the day that you sent me that last picture with the bag of sugar that was gone.
Yeah, it was a video.
And yeah, it was a video, and telling me that you had cracked 199. You had reached your goal. Like, that is what I live for as a mentor, is to help people get across the finish line just like that. And well done. I mean, you really took it and ran with it. And
there's one other picture. I'll kind of hold it up.
Okay.
That's kind of more of a full body shot from the side. And I didn't even recognize I was that big. I didn't really realize it. It's crazy. Yeah. It nothing wrong with it. I just was not in my best. It was affecting my family life. It was affecting my work. I didn't want to do anything. And as those pounds came off, and what I wrote down here too, Chris, and I remember, you gave me those recipes for the smoothies. And actually, when I was doing the smoothies tied into everything, that's where I was having most of my success. I just realized, I was like, crap, why am I not doing the smoothies right now? Because once I hit my goal, I did kind of slow down, and I did kind of enjoy myself a little bit. And I went on some vacations and stuff. And, some of the weight creeped back up. I mean, I went back to 240, and then I was like, whoa, no way, not going back there. And that's when I actually called Chris again, and we did it again. And then, now I've got back down to 224. And so my goal is to get actually lower than 199 next time. And I'm on that journey right now. What was cool is Chris kind of gave me an example. He says, you're kind of at level 2 now, like in a video game. Level 1, you accomplish, you beat it. And what normally happens when you go to level 2, it gets harder. Well, one of the reasons level 1 was good was because that was during COVID. So I was home. The stress of work and different things were not, it was similar, but anyways, I was home. I was by my treadmill. I had the food in my house that I wanted. I wasn't, going to sales meetings where there's pizza. I wasn't going to a broker event where there was, all kinds of things, but I remember when I was focused and really hitting these goals, when I did have to go to an event and the bad food was there, that's where Chris kind of coached me on how to handle that. But I basically wouldn't eat the bad food. I found ways to mentally just, focus on what do I really want. I love the quote, don't give up what you want. Don't give up what you want for what you want right now. I'll say that again. Don't give up what you truly want for what you want right now. And that's a great quote for the times when you're like, I really want food. If you throw that out, it's like, what do I really want with my health? Is this really going to serve me right now eating these 3 pieces of pizza? Or what I used to do, I would just eat till I was sick. I would just keep eating because it was the taste. It was a food addiction and stuff. And it was tough to overcome, but making the decision was the best thing. It's just like, man, what's it going? And Chris also took me through this exercise, and actually that exercise I think is a part of your lose 5-pound challenge, and it kind of gets you started in some of this stuff, where you imagine yourself when you are where you want to be and what you're wearing and stuff. It's, he calls it going into the white room, and I remember visualizing what that would look like, what that would feel like, and then one day I made it. And it was so cool. It was a very emotional day when I sent Chris that video of me with my last bag of sugar and talking about the journey on that video. And I still got it today.
I do too. Yeah, I've looked over it a few times since then. It's really inspirational to me to look back and just see everything that you've done over the years to get to where you are. And and knowing that it's kind of like sometimes when you sweep your kitchen floor, you get the bulk of it into the dustpan, but sometimes there's still that little trail, and you got to come back from time to time and do a little cleanup and what I would call maintenance. And that kind of sounds like where you have kind of landed at this point. And every now and then just doing a little check-in or joining the Lose 5 Pounds challenge is really helpful. So all right, well, thank you, Craig, for all of that. I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna share a couple of other success stories here. So you see the woman on the right here. She came to me and she wanted to lose weight, but even more than that, she had a really big health scare. So she had been going to doctors who had found tracers of blood cancer, and it was a really aggressive type of cancer. And they didn't have any treatment for her. They told her they were going to put her on some experimental type drug, but that was about all they could do for her. And she came to me and said, "Hey, I would like to lose some weight, but really I've got this other health thing going on. Can you help me?" So we started to work together, and over the course of about 6 months, she lost nearly 75 pounds. But even more than that, when she was going back to the doctors for checkups, they were checking her blood, and what they found was that the tracers for cancer were starting to dissipate over time, and then they eventually disappeared completely. So I'm just going to run through a couple of more here, just to give you an example of some different success stories and just what's possible for people. And like I said, it's not so much an age thing. It's not, you can only do this when you're young. I've had older people do this. I've had male, female. It doesn't matter. What's really the most important thing is taking these steps and applying them. So here on the left, we have a gentleman. He's an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And
I don't see a video right, or a picture right now, Chris.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I see us now.
Okay. Do you see that
there
one?
You go. Now we see it.
Okay, so on the left we have a gentleman from Lexington. He's an entrepreneur. He lost about 75 pounds as well. On the right we have one of my college colleagues in her mid-20s, about 45 pounds. Some people look at this and they say, maybe I'm a little bit older, or maybe I'm going through hormonal changes or have gone through hormonal changes. It's going to be more difficult for me to lose weight. And what I say to that is, if you follow the steps, you can have success. So let me show you this. These are two women that I've worked with over the years. Both of them
didn't show up this time.
Okay, how about that? Can you?
Yep, there we go.
Okay, so the one on the left had already gone through menopause by the time we started working together. She lost 55 pounds. The woman on the right, she had a daily regimen of about 10 to 12 prescription medications that she had to take. And then through working with me, she did lose the weight. She lost about 85 pounds. And she was able to let go of a lot of those prescription medications. So by the end, she was only down to 2 or 3 a day. So that just gives you an idea of what's possible. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. All right, can you see me again?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to get into the meat of today. This is going to be the 3 pillars of lasting weight loss. And before we jump into this, I want to do something to kind of gear your mind for what I'm about to teach. And I'm going to share with you the 3 most dangerous words for personal development and personal growth. And if you have something to write with, I recommend that you write this down. So the 3 most dangerous words for personal development and personal growth are, I know that. I know that. Okay, so what's the problem with I know that? Well, if you say I know that, it prevents new information from getting in, and it stops you from receiving information that you already know in a new way. So as we're going through this, check in and just ask yourself, am I saying I know that? Am I saying that under my breath? If you're saying I know that and you're not applying the things already in your life, that's where the disconnect happens. All right. And I just saw in the chat. Okay, cool. All right, so let's jump into the 3 pillars. So I think about the 3 pillars as really being a pyramid, and the pyramid is broken into 3 parts, top to bottom. So each part is essential, but there is a hierarchy here. And each step that we go down becomes more and more foundational. Okay, so that top piece is exercise. All right, so some of you might have already said, I know that. Okay, but ask yourself, are you applying that? That's the important part. Okay, I had the idea early on that if I just exercised, that would take care of everything. That would make me lose the weight. I would be healthy. But the issue with that is, if let's say that you run a mile. So on average, if you run a mile, you're burning 80 to 140 calories. Okay, so how many calories are in a donut? How many calories are in a piece of cake or a candy bar or a soda, you know? So start doing the math there. I mean, you can really exert yourself at the gym, but if you're not doing some other things to support what you're doing with your exercise, it's almost not going to matter in some ways. Okay, so I get the question a lot, what is the most impactful exercise that I can do? And I do go into detail about this in my coaching, but I'm going to give you sort of a good way to think about this to just have a jumping off point. So I want you to write this down. The most impactful exercise that you can do is the one that you will do and do consistently. The most impactful exercise is the one that you will do and do consistently. Man, doesn't that take the pressure off? I've had clients who they really enjoyed taking evening walks. So that's what they did. And they had a lot of success. I've had other clients who, you know, for whatever reason, they had joint issues, or they just couldn't, you know, their knees were banged up and they just couldn't move in certain ways. So they did things like yoga, they did things like swimming, and they've all had success. I've had people do free weights, spin class. Really, the important thing is find something that you enjoy, something that you will do and do consistently. So it might be one thing, it might be 3 things that you kind of cycle in and out. So I want to just take maybe like 30 seconds, and each of you individually do like a little brainstorming on your own. Think about what are 1 to 3 exercises that you could do and do consistently. And maybe you don't know at this point. Maybe you need to experiment, and that's okay. There might be something that you think you love that you just absolutely hate once you do it. And there might be something that you think you might not like, and you try it and it's like, oh, wow, I really do like this. And if you have an exercise, if you have a couple of these that you want to share and drop in the comments, you can absolutely do that. Would love to see some of those ideas. Okay, so that's exercise. Now let's move on down to the next foundational piece. So the next foundational piece is nutrition, right? Like I said, at one point I had the idea that if I just worked out enough, that would take care of everything. But the problem is, after I would work out, I would feel really good about myself, and I deserve a reward. So I would go through the drive-through on the way home and get a value meal, or I would come home and just shove cakes and cookies down my throat.
Yeah,
And
that's what I do now, Chris. Like as I, just kind of getting some more bad habits back a little bit, but sometimes like I'll, you know, because I have a trainer and I meet him 3 times a week, and then I'm in the gym, so then I do my 2 miles. If it's that evening and something's there, I'll eat it. I was like, well, at least I exercised today, and
yeah,
then I just stay where I am, or I don't I don't lose weight. I know that, or I stay where I am, or I gain. And it's that mindset around, well, at least I worked out today.
absolutely. Yeah. And so if you do work out, yes, that is a step forward for sure. It's better than not doing anything. But these two pieces go together, the diet and the exercise. And I have a theory that, if you talk to 100 random people and just say, like, what are the two things I need to do to lose weight? I bet you 99 out of 100 would tell you diet and exercise. Like, it's common knowledge. So I'm going to get into why we don't do that and why we don't follow through on that in just a moment. But I want to spend just a little bit more time with nutrition. So I make a distinction between food, real food, and edible food-like products. So when you're trying to get healthy and when you're trying to lose weight, it's important that you eat more real foods. So what I mean by real food is food that is raised or grown from the earth. Essentially, when you go to the grocery store, it's going to be the thing that's on the perimeter of the grocery store. Once you start to get into the middle aisles, now you see the packaged products, the prepared products. And when you read the ingredients label, you're probably going to notice a lot of ingredients that you cannot pronounce or that you don't recognize as food. So this would be an edible food-like product. In the past 50 to 70 years, more and more of our food supply has been tilted towards edible food-like products. The problem with that is when we are eating these synthetic chemicals, they look like food, they taste like food, they smell like food, they fill you up like food, but they really ain't food when you start to look deeper at it. So what happens is you will ingest these chemicals, and our bodies aren't designed to process those. So it goes into the body, and the liver is trying to sort it all out, and the liver doesn't know what to do with it. So as a protective mechanism, the liver will take those chemicals and wrap it in fat. It's a protective mechanism that our body has built in, right? So a lot of the weight gain and a lot of the bloat I find comes from people eating edible food-like products mostly, rather than real food mostly. All right. So how can we kind of get a grasp on this? Well, I have a tip for how you can start to eat more whole foods rather than edible food-like products. And I want you to write this down. So the tip is, before you eat something, read the label and ask yourself, is this something that my great-grandparents would recognize as food? Is this something that my great-grandparents would recognize as food? And if the answer is no, don't put it in the shopping cart. Don't put it into your body. If the answer is yes, go ahead. And if you don't know, you might look it up on your phone. But my philosophy is, when in doubt, leave it out. Okay, so we're looking for things that our great-grandparents would recognize as food. All right, so there's diet and nutrition. So why is it, or there's exercise and nutrition. So why is it that I would say 99 out of 100 people understand this intuitively?
Mhm.
Why are we struggling as a society? Why are we experiencing an obesity epidemic? Why is it that life expectancy has gone down just a little bit for the first time in generations? Well, it has to do with the bottom piece of the pyramid. And if you have this piece of the pyramid, everything else is going to fall into place. So the bottom piece is mindset. If you have a supportive mindset, you're going to be able to take action on diet and exercise. If you don't, you're going to be like me several years ago on the weight loss roller coaster. You're going to be sitting on the couch saying, I know that I should eat better, I should exercise. Why am I not able to do this? Okay. So how do we start to change the results in our life? I'm going to give you a magic equation for how you can start to create a better mindset. Okay. And if you're writing this down, I would recommend writing this vertically. Okay. So it's 4 letters. It goes TFAR, TFAR. And this is the magic equation for creating a better mindset for health and weight loss. So we're going to start at the very bottom with R. R is results. Okay, this is what we're after. We want to be healthier, we want to lose weight. Okay, and by the way, what I'm about to share with you is applicable across the board. So it's not just for health. You can bring this into your finances, into your relationships, any area of your life this is applicable. So we want the result. Results don't just happen. They come from something, and they come from letter A. Letter A is actions. So it's my consistent, long-term, day in and day out actions that are driving my results. And actions can be 2 things. They can be things that you do or things that you don't do. Action or inaction. Okay, so for example, I changed my nutrition. I upgraded my exercise program. I got healthy. I lost the weight. That was my result. Before, I ate junk food and I didn't work out. And my result was I had a neurological breakdown and I was 65 pounds overweight. So actions actually come from a specific place. So let's back it up one more to F. Feelings. We're talking about our emotions, right? We live in an emotional world. People are taking actions based off of their emotional state. So if my emotions are things like joy, inspiration, higher feeling emotions, there's a better chance that I'm going to take actions from that place to get the result that I want. If my emotional state is predominantly lower, like frustration, fear, worry, sadness, those kind of things, that's a recipe for taking actions that are going to get you a result that you don't want. Okay. And like I said, this is applicable across the board. So you might even think about your financial goals or your business or your career goals. You know, think about your emotional state in relation to your results that you want. Okay. Now, this can be really tricky because it feels like emotions just happen. They just spring out of nowhere. And that is a really true experience. You know, I experienced this myself. It's like I'm feeling something. But the feeling does come from a specific place. And this is letter T, thoughts, or you might even put in there beliefs. Okay, so if my constant thought pattern is something like, hey, other people have lost weight, I can do it too. Or I am happy with the way that I'm going. I'm happy with the direction my life is moving. I'm taking the right steps. My success is inevitable. Things like that. It's going to lead to a better feeling state, which ultimately is going to lead to better actions and ultimately get you to the result that you want. If your belief system is the other way, if it's, I can't do this, nobody I know can do this, well, my genetics are to blame, things like that, that is typically going to lead to a lower emotional state, which is going to lead to actions that lead to results that you don't want. Now, here's the cool thing. Once you get the result, it then reinforces the thought pattern. Mm-hmm. So once you start to see that the actions that you're taking are starting to lead to small results, then it's easier to access those thoughts of, hey, I'm on the right track. I'm doing this. My success is inevitable. So then you begin this positive cycle.
Yeah, that was important for me. My success is like, nothing's more frustrating than doing the right things for 2 weeks, and you had to coach me through some of this, doing the right thing for 2 weeks, but yet the needle didn't move on the scale. And
Right.
it's just like, well, what's happening here? And then you would kind of explain, well, this is probably happening. This is what the body does, this and that. And then I would break through that, and then the little steps and success, kept that, then you lose a pound, then another pound, and then you'd see the results. Then you get to move the bag of sugar, which was, a big deal. And seeing those sugar bags move, it did make you want to continue to eat the good, healthy stuff, and to go to the gym or go to the treadmill. I always say, come up with life hacks. What's your life hack around, finances, for example, of savings? Like, well, I need to have money come straight out of my account to go someplace it's a pain in the butt to get to. That's a life hack. What's your life hack about going to the gym? My life hack for going to the gym is I have a trainer that drives from Louisville to Indiana to meet me. I'm not going to stand him up, so I know I'm going to go to the gym. But that took a while for me to kind of figure out and put things in place. It's like, okay, this isn't working. Actually, when Chris and I came up with, we identified that I needed to drink more water. So what we did is like, well, hey, Craig, let's put a case of water at the beginning of the week in your front seat. Now in the summertime, that's kind of tough. Wintertime, it was fine because you had cold water. But then all of a sudden I was drinking 24 bottles of water in 4 days, which is, about what I needed. So that kind of goes along with what Chris was saying, and I'll let you take it back over, but just those little steps when it comes to the thoughts and the beliefs, when you're seeing some small results, you're going to believe, yeah, hey, I know I can do this. We're not, as in Bold, we talk about the limiting beliefs. It goes right along. Chris, you would love taking Bold. I've told you that before. But you come down to the limiting beliefs is, you start throwing those, the drunk monkey on your shoulder telling you, oh, well, this is my genetics. This is just how it's always been. You just need to accept that this is what you're going to be. No, it's not. You get to have the thoughts and the beliefs that, yeah, I can make a change. And we've seen it. Like you said, I love what you said, where you knew the solution was out there, Chris. You knew the solution was there because you've seen other people do it. What is that solution? And, and it comes down to these 3 pillars.
Absolutely. And I did see a question come in. I think they were asking about the steps. So at the top of the pyramid, we have exercise. The next foundational step down is nutrition. And then the one at the bottom is mindset. That's the one that we have to get in place. And that's the one that's going to bring it all together.
And that's where, and really the mindset's the key, because like you said, if you asked 100 people, 99, maybe 100 are going to say, yeah, it's exercise and nutrition. So all of us know. It's just like all of us know in real estate. It's we all know if we connect with people and we call people, we're going to set appointments and we're going to go. It's the same thing as lead generation. If we lead generate, we're going to get business, but yet we know that's the case, but yet we don't do it. Real estate related. So why is that? Because it's the same thing. It's really the same thing for real estate and lead generation. It all starts with mindset. And when you get that mindset right, then you're on your way to success.
100%. And that's really where I've seen people have lifelong success. It's the mindset. People who go through the weight loss roller coaster, they white knuckle it for a short period of time until they just can't do that anymore. And then they fall back into their old patterns because they don't have the mindset.
And that's what I realized too, was, just as, when we were done and I was kind of on my own again, doing some things and, gained some of the weight back a little bit. And then you did that, 5, or that 1 week to lose 5 pounds. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And it was basically everything we talked about over that time, or over the past several years, we just need to hear it again. And like today, I pulled out a couple things, just like, oh yeah, why am I not doing that? I used to do that and it was successful. So it's like one of those things that kind of goes with, it's a lifestyle. Yes, I could learn it, but we need to keep it in front of us,
Absolutely.
So listening or reading some of your stuff on your Facebook page and things like that, reading books on nutrition, it's just keeping it in front of us, just like real estate, tie back to the MREA book. When's the last time we picked up the MREA book and read that again. I mean, I'll be honest, for me, it's probably been 4 years since I've read that. Why am I not keeping that in front of me on a regular basis? I'm carrying around my backpack right now. That's a start.
Absolutely.
We
Well,
got 10 minutes, Chris. So I was just
so I do want to do some Q&A, but also before we jump into that, I wanted to just share with you, Craig's mentioned a couple of times about the Lose 5 Pounds Challenge. And I want to invite all of you into it, and not just you, but anybody that you might know, whether friends or family. This is a free challenge that I do online. And we're actually going to start it on June 26th. It's going to run through July 1st. And what we do is I jump on there and I do a lunchtime teaching for 5 straight days. And I teach a concept that I have adopted in my one-on-one work to help people lose the weight and become more healthy. So I teach that every day. We have 5 daily missions, and then the participants will take those missions and start to apply those. I'm thinking about changing the name of it because on average, the people who participate and follow through have lost 7.5 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I did. I lost more, and it was totally free. I jumped in, and what it did is it reinvigorated me, and it reconnected me to your teachings, and it just re-engaged me. And that's when I was like ready to say, okay, I need to get serious again. And that's when I lost, I think it was like 7 or 8 pounds in that week.
And that's what it's for. It's to help people come back and reconnect with some of these things if they've already gone through a program. It's also there to help people get started and to build some consistency, because those are the two things. If you can get started and stay consistent, then you start to build momentum. So that this is what this is really about. One of the cool things I add in here is for everybody that participates, you get a free one-on-one Release the Weight for Good strategy session with me. So this is a one-on-one call with me, and what we do is we look at your particular struggles, and I give you some real coaching on how to start to move through those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the link in the chat right here. This is the registration link. It's really simple. All you do is enter your email and your name, and then I'll be in touch with a follow-up email on how to join the group and join the videos. So we're going to be doing those on Zoom. I'm going to record those. So even if you can't join during the live teaching, you can come back and watch it on your own time. And I'm going to put those through email to you directly, and then also in a closed Facebook group. So there are a couple of ways you can watch those. All right. So I want to make sure that I kind of keep the chat clean right now, just so people can find that link. But if you have a question, do you all know how to do a raise hand? So at the bottom of your the toolbar, there's participant. There we go. Becky just did it. So if you have a question, go to participant and then do the electronic hand raise. Okay. So Becky, do you have a question you want to jump in there?
I do. When you were talking about chemicals, I'm trying to limit the calories that I get from drinking. So I'll drink Crystal Light or Propel or that type of thing. What is your expert opinion on, are those chemicals getting wrapped in fat?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the job of the liver is to say, like, I don't know what to do with this. And it tries its best to excrete it through, bowel movements as much as possible. But there's a good percentage of that does get wrapped up in fat. So, all of the diet drinks, Diet Coke and all of those kind of things, they do have a really good amount of chemicals in them. So it's going to make it harder to lose weight if you're drinking those. So what I recommend.
Go ahead.
So what I recommend is, go for water as much as possible, and then spruce it up with a little fruit juice.
Like fruit juice. What do you mean fruit juice?
Well, you could squeeze lemon in there or lime. You could even make a whole pitcher of it and then chop up some strawberries or things like that and drop it in there, and it'll infuse the water and give you a little flavor, because I think that's what a lot of people are missing when they drink water is they're missing flavor. So that's okay. Let's get some flavor in there, but let's get rid of the chemicals as well. Great question, Becky. Okay, are there any other questions?
Okay. If no one else is going, here's my physical hand. How about wine? That's natural, right?
It is. So the thing with wine, it does have a higher sugar content, right? So when you take in sugar, it raises your blood sugar. then your pancreas has to excrete insulin to essentially keep you alive, because the sugar is going to be poison unless the insulin can take that out of your system. So if we look at a hierarchy of alcohol, let's say, I would put wine at the top, just because red wine has resveratrol in it, which is a powerful antioxidant. Now, I wouldn't overdo alcohol. I would maybe limit it to 1-2 max a day, which I think is doable for most people.
Yeah.
I would stay away mostly from beer, just because beer is a wheat derivative, and a lot of people have gluten sensitivities, and it's going to make it harder to lose weight with beer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What other questions do we have?
I have a question.
Yeah, Casey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you share any of your smoothie recipes?
Yes, I can. And actually, during the Lose 5 Pounds Challenge, I do share several of those. One of the days is specifically focused on nutrition, and I do share about cleansing. And so part of that is you do get, I think, three recipes. Yeah, 3 smoothie recipes with that. And in fact, with the recipes, I did create a program last summer that it's called the Super Simple Cleanse Program for detox and weight loss. So it's a 3-day smoothie program, and within that, I give you tons of different smoothie recipes, and it's really a fast track process to losing weight. And so I take, so during the 5 Pounds Challenge, I take some of those recipes and I give those to you.
Yeah, that 5 pound challenge is fun. And it was nice. Like, I'd be driving and I'd see, oh, Chris is live right now. Well, sometimes I'd be able to listen to it, but most of the time I wasn't. But then it's on the Facebook page for for the time of the course, so I could go do it on my own schedule.
Yeah.
To watch
And
it.
and my goal is to do it at lunchtime, so that if you're on lunch, you can jump in. And it's only 15 minutes. If you happen to catch it live and have questions, you can ask then. But you know, realistically, a lot of people are busy, so I do like to provide that option so you can go back and watch it later.
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
You talked about mindset being like the foundation of the pillars. Do you have any recommendations on podcasts or books, or other than like faith-based things, like, you know, reading your Bible or things like that? Like, who are your mentors in positivity and all that? We did the Happiness Advantage not too long ago with Sean Acorn, loved it. But do you have anybody else that you recommend?
Yes, absolutely. So when I was introduced to the model, it was T. Harv Eker. He's got a book. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I think you could probably download it for free at this point. But he goes into depth about this process, and that's where I was introduced to it. And that's when I realized, like, you know, I can take it from a financial standpoint and apply it to anything. Give me 1 second. I'm going to actually show you this book.
Yeah, thanks for being here today, guys. I hope you liked it.
Oh. Well, sorry, I thought I had it handy on my shelf, but it's called Success Principles.
Okay.
And
I think we have time for one more question. If not, then we'll kind of wrap up. Does anybody have any more questions?
I have a quick question. This is Abby.
Yeah.
Do you think that, like, well, I'll just share. I stay up late, so I find myself eating later and later.
Mhm.
And, you know, if I'm up at midnight or 1 a.m. and, you know, I just want to grab a quick snack, I think that that's where I ruin my calories for the day. Is that something, is there something that's better that you can eat at night if you do find yourself up late?
Definitely stay away from sugar and carbs. What I've found is that there's sort of a threshold, and it happens after 10 p.m. So you might have noticed getting a second wind at some point during the night. Like you may be tired around 8 or 9, and then all of a sudden it's like, I've got all this energy. Well, what's happening there is your body is saying, I'm taking the energy resources and the hormones that my body uses to repair itself that should be used during sleep between 10 and 2 a.m. for optimal repair. And now it's being used as a second wind. So what I would recommend, instead of eating or having a snack late at night, is try to find some ways to optimize your natural sleep cycle, so that you're sleeping during that time. And I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people. That's something that I've had to really work on. And this is something that I do address. I talk about there's 6 elements for lasting weight loss in my group coaching program, and sleep is one of the ones that we dive into. So I would look at just trying to see if you can optimize your sleep first and foremost. And then, if you absolutely have to have that snack, then make sure it's going to be something that's not going to produce weight gain, something that's going to be sugar-free, something that's low in carbs.
I used celery and hummus sometimes. Would that be something, Chris? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because it gave me that crunch, and then hummus. I liked hummus as well.
Yeah.
Or cucumber, carrots.
Whole foods,
Not
something
easy.
that is
It's not
something
easy.
that's ready to grow from the earth.
Yeah. So this has been good, Chris. I'm rejuvenated again, and yeah, I'm ready to kind of get going again. So I'm definitely going to sign up for that 5-pound challenge, and yeah, it's good stuff. But thanks so much for taking time out of your day. We'll get this link out. Abby, will you get this link out to the One Team whole group, where people, if they miss this, where they can watch it, but also for that challenge? So all right. Well, thanks guys for everything. And thanks for being here, Chris. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you, team. And I hope to see you all soon. Take care.
See ya.